just looking at the elder man's eyes, and there was just this connection that all of a sudden I saw the whole jungle, the depth of the jungle through his eyes that went on forever and ever. There was this surreal connection that took place, and he just let me experience what they experience on a daily basis, which was becoming one with the natural world.
When you teleport people there and they have this experience, it literally retrains the brain. You're giving people permission to put on the BrainTap, go on your journeys, and teleport them in their imagination, in their mind, in other words. And in the mind, there's no limitations.
Welcome to the Brain Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Patrick Porter. Please join us on our mission to better a billion brains. Enjoy the episode and remember to share it with your family and friends.
Hello, welcome back to the Brain Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Patrick Porter, founder and inventor of BrainTap. And I have with me one of my closest friends. We've been together for over 20 years. He was part of my old franchise company, and he's also one of my mentors. He's taught me Tai Chi and other meditation techniques. I've traveled around the world with him. He's got multiple black belts. We'll let him get into that a little bit, but he's not only a friend, but he's my bodyguard on the road. We gotta have people like that. So if you're wondering what Dr. Porter does to improve his brain fitness, this is one of my mentors, and I want you to listen to him, and we've got a lot to share with you because it's more than just the brain, but we're going to talk about the brain-body connection and why these meditations and why movement in the body is so important. And Terry's traveled around the world. He wrote a book called The Wandering Ninja because this guy is never at home in Toronto, Canada. He's always somewhere on an airplane, going somewhere to some remote island, learning some specialized martial arts technique. So, Terry, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here, and you've inspired me throughout the time that I've known you as well, so it goes both ways.
Yeah, that's the best kind of mentorship, is that you can learn from each other. I only hang around people that I can learn from and that help me to grow, because I want to be challenged and pushed. So you've put together meditations before for BrainTap. We have several of your meditations. I think like close to 50 meditations on there right now that people can listen to. But we have some new ones coming out, right? We have some new ones that are being launched.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the new series that you developed and what was the intention behind those?
Sure. Well, let me just recap the old series first. One was called Meditations for the Inner and Outer You, of which there's about 35 sessions on that program. And then there's also the Wandering Ninja Nature Meditations, which I think there's 8 meditations in that series. And from there, over more travels and more meditation that I've done personally, I've come up with putting that together in a way of sacred journeys is my new meditation program, going to be released on BrainTap very shortly. And what this does is it literally takes you on a journey with me. So let's say one of the countries that we visit is India or Wudan, Shan, China, which you've actually been to with me, Patrick, training with the monks there. Or, it could be Cambodia. There's 7 different countries that I've selected to do these guided meditations. And you literally go with me to these sacred places and sacred temples, and we meditate in them. And there's many insights that come up in regards to when you're listening to the meditations that you discover for yourself. And that's why I designed them, was to be able to give a platform to say, hey, maybe you can't go to India tomorrow or Cambodia or Thailand or these places, that I've been to, but maybe you can come with me in your mind, and I can guide you and lead you and help you to experience some phenomenal things that I've experienced. And there's nothing in these meditations that I haven't done or experienced myself, and that's why they're in the meditations.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit, Terry, about your background. Of course, I know it in great detail because I was there when you were writing your book and read the whole journal as you were writing it. And but tell me a little bit about what got you into this.
Sure.
In your journey.
Let me just say, I wouldn't have a book if it wasn't for you, because every time we traveled and you would hear a story that I, would tell about something I experienced, you'd say, you really need to write a book. You really need to write a book. I'm like, a book? Who's going to want to read what I have to share? And you said, you have no idea. There's tons of people out there that want to read what you know and what you have to share. And so I just thought everybody was on the same journey and same path, that I was on. So I figured everybody already knew this stuff. But so thank you for inspiring me to write that book. Now, how I got involved in this was as a kid, I wanted to take martial arts because I was tall, lanky, and incredibly insecure, living with an alcoholic, abusive father. I had no self-esteem, no confidence. And I got beaten up in the schoolyard a lot because of my size and my insecurity, my attitude. So I thought, I really need to learn how to defend myself. So I took martial arts. I took judo for 2 years, and it was good. I learned a lot from judo, but I was really yearning for something deeper. And so I got into Kung Fu. And in Kung Fu, they made you meditate before every single class, which I hated. I couldn't stand meditating I joined Kung Fu at 14. Judo, I did 12 to 14. And Kung Fu, I started at 14. And as a 14-year-old troubled kid, I wanted to kick and punch and throw people and get all that nervous energy, aggravation out of my system. But they said, no, sit down, cross your legs, keep your back straight, shut up, and breathe deep and follow your breathing. And I thought, geez, are you kidding me? I have to do this? And I did this every single class, 2, 3, 4 times a week sometimes that I came to my classes. And I noticed that, sure, for the first month, I really didn't like it. The second month, I said, okay, well, it's tolerable. I'll do it because I still want to get up and kick and punch. And then after that, let's say 2 to 3 month period, I noticed some changes in the way that I was being able to engage with life, and especially with my life at home, which was very troubled. I wasn't having knee-jerk reactions to my father's situation and, yelling and screaming and fighting back. I was able to take some distance and emotionally say, hey, you know what? My father has an issue, and me reacting this way is not going to help the situation. So the meditation actually gave me the ability to have some emotional regulation and some emotional resilience and some mental clarity to be able to make better decisions. After 4 or 5 months of meditating at the martial arts school, nobody had to ask me ever again to meditate. I was doing it on a regular basis by myself and enjoying it because of the benefits that came with it.
That's great. When we met, I was telling people that they needed to dance, do Tai Chi or yoga because the brain and the body connection. And I know that you opened up multiple studios to help children and adults learn martial arts. Can you tell us a few of the stories of what happened to the children? Because there could be some parents on here going, should I get my child into martial arts in meditation?
Absolutely. When I ran my schools, one of the things that I noticed with children who came in was we were just sort of getting into, a lot of the computers and video games, and they were becoming more available. And I noticed a lot of kids who spent a lot of time on these things, not that it was a bad thing, but that their attention span was really decreased. And a lot of the parents would bring their kids to me and say, I don't know what to do with him or her anymore. I just can't get my child to focus anymore. And one teacher, a parent who was a teacher at school, said, my kid's on Ritalin, which was a drug at that time for attention deficit, and said, I don't want to put him on the Ritalin like the doctor suggested. Is there anything that you can do? I said, well, I don't know. All I do is I teach martial arts, but let's see what we can do. And so in being able, and this kid was maybe 5 or 6 years old, being able to teach this child martial arts and work with the model that the child wanted, which was martial arts, and maybe at that time it was power ninjas or rangers or whatever they were called back then. But I could inspire him through becoming one of those in his imagination. And I'd say, you don't think that a Power Ranger is going to be like this, do you? A Power Ranger is going to be like this. They're going to do this. They're going to pay attention so that they can hit the bag. And all of a sudden, there was a transformation that took place over a short period of time. And I still have the written testimonial from that parent to this day saying how much that they appreciated the guidance for being able to help their child focus and concentrate, which obviously went in and generalized into their schoolwork and their home life and everything else. So I can't tell you how many stories I've had in regards to things like that with kids in the program.
I know I've often talked to you about doing some videos for BrainTap to get people up and moving. At our events across the country, you come out and you lead our groups in ways to engage their nervous system to get their brain going. So that's really key. But today we're talking about just meditation, really. You put together these meditations. So in fact, I was just on Fox Radio talking about how doing some type of physical exercise before or meditation before exercise actually stimulates BDNF and the brain activities. And you put together these meditations that get people focused and centered. So before we move on to what's new and great and what you're going to be doing with BrainTap, we're going to be launching the Sacred Journeys meditation. So maybe take us through a couple of them just to give people an idea of what they're going to experience.
Yeah, we start off with a particular country. It doesn't matter what country you start with, but I say, okay, prepare yourself, get yourself in an area where you feel like you're in your own personal sanctuary. And then I literally lead them from landing in the city that I landed in, and I say, okay, here you are. Let's say Cambodia as an example. Siem Reap is the main city where Angkor Wat and the other temples are located. And then I take them through a journey of being able to traverse the experiences that I've had and have some insights that I've gained through my travels, and say, okay, you're standing in front of Angkor Wat now, and you see this massive temple and the sun is rising, and all of a sudden it comes from the shroud of darkness and begins to appear. And you just feel this level of energy, because for those people that don't know about Angkor Wat, it's the largest religious structure in the world. The property included and the temple and everything involved. It's absolutely massive, and it's full of decals and carvings and all kinds of symbolic references. And when you just see it appear from the darkness into the light and the sun is just rising, there's a real sacred feeling that comes over you. And it kind of instantly transports you into meditation. You just feel everything else drop away and you're standing there. And then, of course, I take people through the journey of walking through the different sections of the temple, right up until the top pillar, where you can see for miles and miles, or here we say kilometers and kilometers, but you can see forever. And what you can envision is the empire of Angkor, which at one time was one of the most populous cities in history. And so I literally just take people through to have that kind of an experience and open them up along the way to some fascinating things that meditation can deliver you to, not only health benefits, but, sort of extra normal brain activities, or if you want to say psychic activities that you can tap into that a lot of people maybe have never thought about before. But with the right energy and the right situation and the right circumstances, the right environment, all of a sudden things can happen that can bring out your intuition and your ability to experience things that aren't necessarily a normal part of the day.
Yeah, and I think that's important for people to know, because Deepak Chopra said it back in the 80s, 97% of what's going to happen tomorrow we know about today, but we pretend not to know. So this meditation can prepare you with unseen forces that you have within you that haven't been activated. So I know these sacred sites are really activating. Like when we were at the temples in Wudang, it was like, for a while, I've been looking around for David Carradine, like I was in a kung fu movie or something, because when you're there in the temple actually doing Tai Chi and what we were doing there, it was a surreal experience. Yeah. So you're teleporting people there with their mind. They're getting the activity. They're activating, and because of something called the quantum, if you will, the quantum effect, we're all entangled.
Yes.
So when we think about something, we see a picture of something, there's actually a chemical corresponding reaction that happens in the brain, and the body begins to vibrate and resonate with those frequencies. Yes. So you're bringing that energy from Angkor Wat. Tell us about another one, because when they go to listen to them, it's, when you're sitting there in that presence and you just let yourself go, let your imagination go wild. It liberates that the stress factor that we're all under.
I want to share a special experience I had in Thailand. A number of them, but this particular part of the meditation, which I actually lead you to, is when I went to the northern province of which is called Nan, and then I went further into the hills. I had a guide with me because I was specifically wanting to meet what were called the Yellow Leaves people, and these were nomads that live in the jungle, and they were not a part of civilization as we know it. The government of Thailand has tried to get them to become a part. And I think now, I'm going back 30 something years now that this took place for me. But they've been trying to get them to become a part of village life forever. And they would leave and just take the clothes on their back and leave everything else behind and go live off the land in the jungle. They were called yellow leaf people because they would set up a temporary structure with huge yellow leaves, I think from banana trees. And they were green at the time. And then by the time it took them to turn yellow, because they were separated from the trees, then they would know it's time to move on to the next destination. So my actual meeting with the Yellow Leaves people was an experience really difficult to get across, but in the meditation, I think I do a really good job of it. And just looking at the elder man's eyes in the forest when we were sitting around the fire enjoying a cup of tea that they offered me, that they made in, I don't know, I think it was coconut husks, and they boiled this tea over the fire and we're sipping it. And I had this opportunity to look into the elder, his eyes, and there was just this connection that all of a sudden I saw the whole jungle, the depth of the jungle through his eyes that went on forever and ever. There was this surreal connection that took place. And he just let me experience what they experience on a daily basis, which was becoming one with the natural world. And I'll never forget that experience, because it literally just opened my eyes up to how far we as city people have become isolated from the natural world, because we're in the city, with transportation, computers, and doing all the things we do. We don't spend a lot of time with nature anymore. This is part of the idea of my meditation. So to get back the connection with the natural world, where a lot of the things I've learned on my journey, that's where I've learned them from, is my connection with nature.
It's so incredible that science is now talking about forest bathing, yes, and how important it is, and these natural things have been happening since the dawn of history. Yes. But some scientists is reinventing them right now. Telling them about it. So when you teleport people there and they have this experience, it literally retrains the brain, because we crave periods of disassociation. Yes. Now, in psychology, of course, they talk about disassociation as a negative, but really disassociation is a natural part of our yes. life. We want to get out of the stress, the strain, the confusion. So you're giving people permission to put on the BrainTap, go on your journeys, and teleport them in their imagination, in their mind, in other words, to where they're going. And in the mind, there's no limitations, right? I'm telling you, if you enjoyed just these two little stories that we had, his book is phenomenal. If you read it, it impressed me, and I'm not easily impressed. I mean, when you go around the world and you've seen things just like meeting this tribe, I mean, how many people out there in the world would love to have that meeting? And like you said, that was 30 years ago. That meeting might not ever happen again, right, but you can have it on the meditation. You can go there and have the experience and start to change the brain. And science shows us that when you do these things with your mind, you're actually changing your epigenetic experience, meaning you're changing the way you show up in life. So imagine, we can't get on a plane like you said. It takes, 16 hours to get to Thailand? Or something
if you
like
have a direct flight. If not, it could take longer.
Yeah. It's a 24-hour deal, right? When you're in nowadays with airlines, you're probably going to spend a couple nights in a hotel in between things, the way things happen. But when you get there, you're drained. You can teleport yourself right there, right now. And we all know through quantum physics that there's no separation. This quantum entanglement, just with you watching us right now, you are now entangled in some format with what Terry is talking about. And if you go to the BrainTap app, we'll have some links in the show notes to some of his meditations, so you can just click on them. If you're a BrainTap user, you just click on them and you can start to play them right away. If you're not a BrainTap user, guess what? You can still click on it. It will give you a 14-day free trial. So if you don't like what you hear, just cancel it. It won't cost you anything.
Exactly.
Just listen to these meditations. I guarantee you, they're the ones that I listen to. When people say, what do you listen to? I listen to Terry's, the old ones that you had, like the mountain meditations and things like that. Those are awesome.
Yeah, those are the wandering ninja nature meditations you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah, they're awesome. And remember, in brainwave entrainment, and what we're talking about here, variety is what's important. How do we need to, in order for neuroplasticity to happen, you need to have something novel, something unique, something that engages the brain. And I think we've put these together with brainwave entrainment that will get their brain activated and then get their circuitry going so that they can start to imagine, create, and discover their inner world. So is there anything else you want to talk about this new sacred journey meditation before we go on to what you're going to be doing for BrainTap? We're going to be setting out a meditation journey where people can meet with you over a series of weeks, and you can train them. If you're not used to meditating, you don't know how to meditate, what we have found in unfortunately, is that most people meditate incorrectly. They create stress and anxiety in their brain. They have norepinephrine and cortisol released because when they shut down their brain, that's what was happening to you those first 2 months that you were in meditation.
Yeah.
Your monkey mind took
Exactly.
over. But if you can get through that, and that's why in the ancient times, the tradition was you find a guru, and that guru would teach you. Now, Terry might not raise his hand and say he's going to be your guru, but the reality is that you need a guide. And this is a great technique. If you've never meditated before, done any meditation or mindfulness practices, you've created a series that you're going to take them along the way, taking somebody from novice to, being able to do this on their own. So tell us a little bit about this journey and what you found in the past. Because you've trained thousands of people over the years.
So the sacred journey meditations are experiential, so you can literally travel with me to the places I've been to. But the actual series that I'm just completing now is a 21-day mindfulness experience program. And the reason I'm doing that is because I found with myself, as I already explained, when I was younger, I knew nothing about meditation, nor did I want to do it. But just doing it consistently created the change in my mind, and I think, too, as well, in the structure of my brain. It gave more gray matter to my hippocampus, which allowed me to regulate my emotions better, and it decreased the gray matter in my amygdala, which, decreased the stress and the fear response. So that
Just let me say something there. The amygdala is what hijacks your emotions. Like when you get in an argument, you say, "Damn, I wish I wouldn't have said that." That's when your amygdala stepped in and said, "Wait a minute, your primitive brain takes over." So I just want you to understand that. So
exactly. You know far more about the science of it than I do. But I can only tell you what I experienced. And because I was constantly meditating, these structural changes and functions of being able to have more mental clarity and more confidence just started to come about. So the reason why I'm developing this 21-day mindfulness experience program is because I want to take people day at a time and help introduce them to the basic concepts of mindfulness and have them practicing it each and every day with the exercises that I give them. So it's a pretty comprehensive program over the 21 days. And my hope is that if people really commit to it and apply the exercises and write in the journal each day about what they're experiencing or what's happening. A lot of people don't like to keep a journal, but I found that really important when I was a teenager because it helped me to clarify what I was experiencing, but also it helped me to keep track of my progress because I could read back a month, 2 months and go, oh, wow, I was thinking like that back then. And now I'm expressing like this. I could see through this map of journaling the progress that I was making. So I think, with all the components of this 21-day mindfulness experience program that I'm going to release, hopefully within the next month or two, then this is what I'm hoping for people with BrainTap and anybody else who wants to join in. If you're not a part of BrainTap, perhaps you can become a part of it for a period of time to experience it so that you can get the benefits and rewards of this particular new program I'll have released soon.
Right, and we'll have a sign-up link where you can sign up on a Google Doc if you're interested in being part of Terry's experience. And is there a charge for this 21-day program, or is it a free program?
It'll be a free program for BrainTap, and we'll figure out how to get the journal to them and whatever else needs to be done on that level. Sure. And then in the near future after that, what I hope to be doing is leading retreats and workshops, some shorter term like the workshops, some longer term retreats, where I actually help to work in person with people. And I find that when you're in person, there's even a greater effect because you're right there. And some of the exercises that I can do in person, even with just mindfulness communication and sitting with people and having partnerships in these workshops, you can feel your communication enhance in just hours. Like in one day you'll walk out. I remember when I did it and I walked out and I thought, wow, how come everybody is communicating so fast and about so little? But when you really get in touch with the essence of communication, you really find that, it doesn't need, there's not a lot that needs to be said, but what you need to say is what's most important so that you feel really you get across what your reality is. And this is all part of the mindfulness communication program. But I'd like to do that in a workshop or a retreat where we can have some personal one-on-one experiences. Yeah.
Those of you that have been following me know that we talk about how, COVID showed that we have something called shedding, but we've been shedding since the dawn of history. Everything in the universe sheds, which means it emits light. And that light has information. So imagine you're sitting with Terry, you're sitting with 20 or 30 or more people in the same room, and you're resonating at the same frequency. You're going to have an amplified effect. You know, when Jesus even said, when two or more together, there's a third. And what he was talking about was really quantum physics, because we're communicating at that level. So when you're in that group, and I can tell you, when we did our meditations in Wudang, in the temples, yeah. I mean, I was back in time. I thought I was one of those monks, back in time, and it was so cool because the longer you were there, the more you forgot about, hey, emails, text message. We didn't have any of that there, which was awesome, so, and we're putting together. So if you're interested, please let us know down below. Say, hey, I want to be a part of this, because Terry lives in Canada. If you didn't notice his accent there a little bit, he's putting together something in Nova Scotia, right?
Working on a retreat center in Nova Scotia. And then of course with you in North Carolina as well.
Yeah, we're going to be doing a lot of things here at Mystic Pine Sanctuary in New Bern, North Carolina. Maybe we'll put the link in the show notes too, so they can see that as it develops. Right now, we just have a cottage there, but Terry is actively helping me get something together so we can bring people out. And we're hoping next spring we can start offering some seminars at Mystic Pines.
Wonderful.
And it's going to be incredible. I mean, when you get together and you get to spend a week. And of course, at Mystic Pines, we're going to have all our biohacking equipment there too. So we're going to take the ancient traditions and mix it with modern technology and really amplify people's biology, because our biology is the key, right? When we're around people, when Charles Tremendous Jones, who was a professional speaker, one of my favorite when he was alive, he used to say, you are the sum total of the 5 friends you hang around most, the 5 books you've just read. And that's because we now know, Bruce Lipton talked about epigenetics. When you're around people, you want to be around people that are gainers, people that make you feel better, that don't mind if you succeed, in things of that nature. And we want to build this nurturing environment. And of course, we're going to feed you well. We're going to eat nice, fresh, alive foods. We're going to have activities. We have the river there. Terry said I need to put in a swimming pool though, because there's alligators in the water. But we're gonna do some things to make it a really cool experience. My hope is that, imagine, and Terry and I have talked about this. We just got back from Dallas looking at some capsules, and I said I want to have Star Trek, like a utopia. Let's say you go off planet and you want to. You're in a star system and you want to go somewhere and really recover, like something like Atlantis. That's why we called our spa Solantis. It was an island off of Atlantis. Just kind of playing with ancient traditions. But I think when you get there and you move your physiology, you start changing the way you think. You have conversations with people that are uplifting. So I know that you are really a proponent of direct experiences.
Absolutely.
We talked about this many times. So tell us a little bit about what you mean by direct experience, because a lot of people. There's a difference between knowledge and transcendence, right? People who have knowledge, that doesn't mean they can function in the world, and especially in the quantum world we live in.
Yeah, that comes from my own personal work that I've done in workshops called Enlightenment Intensives. And the direct experience is, it goes beyond the mind, it goes beyond the intellect, where you're thinking about something. It's where you actually have experienced something as if you are one with it. You are a part of that thing that you are experiencing. And when that happens, there is a phenomenal shift in you as a human being. And you get closer to the core of who you really are, what your true self really is. And when you actually experience that, it doesn't matter what's happening in the world around you. You always come back to that and realize that everything comes and goes. Everything manifests and demanifests. But that essence of who you are is always constantly there. And it's brought me a lot of comfort because, as I said, I've come from a background where there's a lot of trauma from my father and my school years. And I just keep coming back to that essence of who I am and the direct experiences that I've had that ground me in the here and the now. Get my mind out of the future or the past and bring it and stabilize it, ground it into the present. And you just are able to experience life like, all I can say is like I'd never had before. It's a whole different experience to go through life with that.
Right. So we're here talking with Terry Hodgkinson, who's a meditation expert, but also a martial artist multiple martial artists. I mean, you've traveled all over the world to every little island. I mean, every time I hear you travel, I mean, you're going somewhere and you spend somewhere learning this one technique. And we're so happy to have you as part of BrainTap, because you add a component that we need. And at our events, if you've been to our events, you know Terry, because he leads you through getting the nervous system going. We're going to get him to do some videos, because there's some little exercises you can do while you're sitting around. You've all heard me talk. 20 minutes of sitting is equivalent to smoking a cigarette. We need to get up and moving. I tell the story, Terry. It was funny when you said, "How do you use this computer?" You're sitting in a chair going like this. I said, "No, that's a stand-up computer." So and because I know that for me, when I was doing more psychology and doing my positive changes experience, I was sitting all day long. I didn't realize how bad that was. You're sitting there and you're listening to people tell me all their problems. It's like it just amplifies it. So if you've enjoyed this, please like and share this video. If you want to be a part of the 21-day intensive, we're going to be starting a list of people. We're going to have, not only Terry is going to be leading you through actual consciousness training, which means you're going to consciously learn. So it's not just doing BrainTap, but then at the end of that, you'll be able to click on the link and you'll be able to do Terry's meditation, which integrates that, which we all know if there's conscious commitment, there's subconscious action. And then you do the subconscious action that happens, and he's going to explain the techniques. If you're wondering what is mindfulness all about, Terry is an expert. He's been doing it since he was 14 years old. He's one of the people, what really, when I was attracted to Terry, was that he's like me. I mean, I was 12 years old when my dad taught me how to do meditation. And for some reason, I loved it right away, because I just love I like being alone. It's crazy. I like being in front of people and being with people, but I like just being by myself.
Well, you also had 9 siblings in the families.
Yes, and I had a crazy family. So, yeah, my dad used to call me Merlin because he said I meditated too much, and I said I just love that. I don't know what it is, but I think I was an Indian in a past life or something. But I think that this is something that, one thing too with Terry, it's going to be fun. It's not just going to be educational and all boring left brain stuff. He's going to bring some humor to the experience. He's going to teach you how to meditate, and then you can get more out of your BrainTap experience. Most people, unfortunately, only 5% of people meditate. Can you imagine that, Terry? If you went to meditate, if you'd have quit during that 2 weeks or the 2 months, most people, you have to get through that pain period, because growth comes with stress. And so everybody says, "I don't want any stress." No, you want capacity. Yeah. What happens, I told you the story with my son, Alex, which he's 6'5", just like you, same kind of story. And he didn't have a lot of confidence. I said, "We're going to go do martial arts." And we found a Taekwondo studio, and I committed. I said, "We're committed to doing this until you get your black belt." And he did it at 12 years old. So it changed him. People thought he was 16, 17 years old, even though he was 12, because basically it changed his whole attitude. Absolutely. And he got more confident. When he broke that board, I can tell you, he was like, "Oh my God," he didn't even realize how powerful he was. So Terry's going to teach you all those techniques. So anything else you want to share with BrainTap Nation before we wrap up?
This gourd here, which is also known as a hulu in Chinese Taoism. It was from my teacher in the Taoist Wudan Mountains. And when I started training with them for over many years, my teacher looked at me and said, "You have everything that you need. You can continue to keep coming back here if you want, because it's a nice peaceful area." In the old days, this was where the medicine was stored and brought around by the shaman or medicine men or healers, and given the medicine to people who needed the healing or needed it. And so my teacher handed it to me and says, it symbolizes you now going out and giving the medicine to the people, because you have all that you need. Now just go and do it. So this is the next phase of my life, is being able to offer what I've experienced and what I know, to share in platforms and help other people to gain the wisdom and gain the shift in consciousness and experiences that I've had. And I want to be able to offer that.
That's awesome. Now, if you're looking for a real teacher, someone who walks the walk, I mean, I've traveled with Terry extensively, and he does what he says. I mean, I'm amazed every morning when you do the splits and things like that. When we're sharing a hotel room and you get up and do your stretches, I'm like, I need to do that, but I'm not as committed to my physical body as I need to be. I do my biohacks, but that's so impressive. And it's so important that we activate people. Think, if you're out there wondering, what am I supposed to do with my life? Where am I supposed to be in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? Well, you've got to go through your dark night of the soul, and you've got to build capacity, because the world is waiting for you to wake up.
Absolutely.
And this could be the seminar and it's online, so it's very convenient, and you'll be able to talk with Terry. We'll probably put together a chat group so people can talk about their journeys together and just kind of build a community around this, because we need more people meditating, more people understanding the way that the brain functions. And by calming down the brain, using these visualization techniques, you're going to find that your life is going to be much better. And journaling, I'm a big believer in journaling. I think it's so important. When I was going through my crisis, when I tell people I had my midlife crisis at 24. I'm always in a hurry, so I did it early in life, and I still have those books. And when I look at them, I go, I was a crazy person. What the hell was going on back then? But I was 24, and I was driven by other things besides helping people. Yeah. So, and luckily my dad helped me with that. But in the process of doing this, we all need a community. So this is a great community, and we're going to encourage you to, we're looking at other wellness facilities out there. I'm talking to someone actually today from Costa Rica that's putting together a wellness facility. We want to have places where you can go take your wellness vacation, because nowadays, imagine taking a week off, going to Nova Scotia or New Bern, Costa Rica, wherever it is, and you get to spend time with like-minded people. That's not available right now, but in a month or two, we're going to have the 21-day program where you can meet up online. Hopefully that will inspire you to move on and continue to increase your capacity and train the people in your life, because there's too many people out there that need this help. So anything you want to leave us with before we...
No, I think everything that needed to be said has been said, and I think you summarized it all perfectly, Patrick. So I think we'll just leave it there, and let's build the community together. And let's have as many people who are interested join in and share what we know and what we've experienced. I mean, both you and I have walked this path for so long, and it's now time just to open up the doors and say, let's share it with as many people. And let's honestly make as much of a change in this world as we possibly can, and bring some healing. Because, the world does, it could use some healing on a number of different levels, and that would be a good thing.
Exactly. So remember, down below in the show notes, we're going to have links to Terry's meditations. We'll put them in there to his series, and start to listen to them, and just to understand that even though you might have your favorites on BrainTap, remember, neuroplasticity happens when you make changes to what you're listening to. And I do, of course, listen to myself every once in a while, but I like to listen to other people, because just like people like listening to me, I like to hear it the other way. And I know Terry, and I'm very protective of who I listen to. And I know Terry his heart's in the right place and what's going on. So give them a chance, listen to them. I'm sure you're going to have what I did. It's a really cool experience.
Just one more thing before we leave, Patrick. The way that these meditations for the sacred journeys are structured is there's almost a 1 hour full meditation of the whole experience, but then I've actually broken it down to shorter. So let's say there was 6 or 7 experiences through the full, 58-minute meditation. I've taken the individual experiences and broken them down to like 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And I'm offering those as well, because I know for some people time is a consideration and they don't have a full 58 minutes, 60 minutes to listen. So you can do individual components of each full meditation as well at your leisure. And so those will be offered as well under the main full hour meditation for each country.
That's great. Now, remember, if you liked what you heard here, hopefully you did, you can share and like this video. Get it out to your family members, friends, coworkers, people you know that you want to help in a mindfulness experience, and then introduce them to BrainTap, introduce them to Terry Hodgkinson, who's a leader in meditation. He's been doing this for, how many years now? Like 35 years, 37 years, 40 years?
Actually, it's now it's around 45 years now, because I started when I was 12. So
yeah, so there you go. So when you think about it, this is somebody, it's not just a new fad. This is something Terry's been doing his whole life. He lives it, he breathes it. This is what he does. And I'm sure that you're all going to like it. So please like and share this video. Let's get as many people on that 21-day plan as possible. Remember, we're out to better 1 billion brains. Terry's part of the mission, and he's helping us to improve people's brain function. And basically, think about it like you're building capacity. Imagine you could take a vacation in like you said, an hour, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever time you have. Just take that time to disassociate from your everyday world, go into this quantum world and experience these journeys. It's going to be fantastic. So thanks again, Terry, for being part of BrainTap,
thanks for having
being
me
part
on.
of the experience. Yeah, and thanks for putting together the 21-day plan. We're going to get that out to all the BrainTap users. We'll have a big promotion for that when we get started, probably at the beginning of the year when everybody's starting their New Year's resolutions. It'd be a good time.
Yeah, exactly. And for now, the new series, Sacred Journeys, will be available, so people can start listening to that right away.
Okay. Again, thank you. This has been the Brain Fitness Podcast from BrainTap, and I'm your guest. I'm your host, Dr. Patrick Porter. So please tune in to the next Brain Fitness Podcast, and let's continue to better 1 billion brains. And right now, because you're watching, it's your brain we're talking about. So let's improve that brain, and then as you improve, you're improving everyone around you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us on our mission to better 1 billion brains. Follow at Dr. Patrick Porter on social media for updates, and remember to practice brain fitness every day.